Lesson 19, value word problems, and AA means AAA. First thing we're going to talk about is value word problems. Now, the best way that I can tell you to solve these is to set up a chart, okay? Use a chart to organize your information. All right, I'm going to show you what the basic chart looks like, and then we're going to fill it in to solve for this first example. And then I want you to use it to solve for the second example. All right, so in your first chart, we're going to have the number of coins in the first column. We're going to have the value of the coin in the second column. And then we're going to have the total in the third column. And then for each row, you're going to have the different types of coins. And we always have a total. All right? So this is your basic chart. Now let's use this to fill in some information. Karamagu had 50 nickels and dimes. His value was $4. How many of each kind of coin did he have? All right, now we have nickels and dimes. So we're comparing in this problem nickels and dimes. Now keep in mind, if you have two things that are unknown, you're going to have two variables. All right, so nickels and dimes. We know that he had 50 altogether. So in the total column for number of coins, we have 50 total coins, but we don't know the number of nickels and we don't know the number of dimes. So for our number, we're just going to call them nickels and dimes because we don't know. We do know, however, the value. Okay, we know the value of each nickel is 5 cents. We know the value of each dime is 10 cents. We know that the total cent was $4. Now, notice that in the value of each of my coin, I didn't call it 0.05. I didn't do 0.10. So I took the decimal out of my total value as well. If you don't have decimal points in the value per coin, don't include the decimal point in the total. If you do include the decimal point in the total, make sure that you include decimal points in the values. All right, and then to find the total column, we're going to multiply across. All right, so we have 5N, 10D, and then 50 times 400 is 20,000. Excuse me, I said that wrong. The total value is going to be 400. Because that's given to us in the problem. This total value is not necessary. We don't need to know. Okay, now, we are going to use column 1 and column 3 to make equations. Remember, when you have two equations, you're going to have two unknowns. All right, so the first unknown, our first equation is nickels and dimes equals 50. There were 50 total coins. Some were nickels, some were dimes. The second equation is going to come from the total column. 5N plus 10D equals $4. Okay, or 400. Those are the two equations, and you're going to solve either by substitution or by elimination. All right, so go ahead and take just a moment to solve this one. Pause the video and hit play when you're ready to move on. The next example is very similar to the value problem. Okay, the fishmonger sold codfish for 6 pence each and mussels for 1 pence each. If Harriet bought a total of 26 items and paid 86 pence, how many codfish did she buy? This is very similar. Okay, you've got a number of items, you've got the value per item. Okay, pence is a value, just in case you did not know. All right. So use the same chart that we used in the previous example. Fill in the information, find your two equations, and solve for the number of codfish. Go ahead and pause the video, take a minute to try this one on your own, and we will check in class. Go ahead and hit play when you're ready to move on to the next thing. All right, the next thing we're going to talk about is AA means AAA. Okay, this is not Alcoholics Anonymous, we're talking about the measure of angles here. All right, so we have AA means AAA. In other words, when two angles in one triangle have the same measure as two angles in another triangle, the third angles are equal. All right, so when two angles in one triangle have the same measure as two angles in another triangle, the third angles are equal. Okay, so if we have two triangles, it doesn't matter how big or how small they are. If these angles are 90, and these angles are both 40, then that means the third angles have to be 50, okay? All right, remember, if angles are equal, sides are also equal. If angles are equal, then sides are also equal. All right, we're going to use ratios and proportions to compare triangles. We're going to use ratios and proportions to compare these. All right, so let's look at this first example. All right, we have two different triangles. All right, now, we know that these two angles here are equal. They're vertical angles, so therefore they are equal. These two angles here are equal, which means that the last angles are equal. And keep in mind, angles are proportional to their sides. So if these two vertical angles are equal, that means sides 4 and side 6 are proportional. So 4 and side 6 are proportional, which also means that 7 and y are proportional. Okay? 7 and y are both opposite the angles with two check marks, which also means that 5 and x are proportional. Right? When setting up your proportion for these angles, always go in the same pattern. So if you'll notice, 4, 7, and 5 are all from the triangle here on the left. 6, x, and y are all from the triangle on the right. We went from left to right in our comparison. Make sure that when you do that, you stay the same throughout. Now we can use our known proportion to solve for the missing one. So 4 is to 6 as 7 is to y, and 4 is to 6 as 5 is to x. Now to solve for those missing sides, all we need to do is cross multiply and divide. So go ahead and cross multiply and divide to solve for the missing sides. All right, now that you have solved for the missing sides, let's look at the second example. In the second example, we have two angles that are equal, which obviously means that the third angle is also going to be equal. Go ahead and pause the video. What I need for you to do is set up proportions and solve for missing sides x and y, and we will come back and check these when we come into class.